Good evening. Today is November 17th, 2021, and we have yet another meeting of Central Jersey Electric Auto Association. And today we have very packed agenda. So let's get started. This is my screen. So we will have
Hey, Stan.
Yes, hello.
Hello. I'm sorry, I have to leave at 7 because we have our environmental commission meeting.
Understood.
On the Wednesdays. So Wednesdays are sometimes hard for me.
I will go through chair report, welcome new members and subscribers. I'll give you update on Nissan Leaf battery swap project and one more thing. And then we'll have our first guest will be Lin Fa from AeonCharge Alliance. This organization is founded and funded by EV drivers and EV organization leaders across the United States with the goal to make EV charging more convenient. They made a universal mobile app that allows EV drivers to locate, activate, and pay for charging across networks. You can now charge your electric vehicle at any charger with just the AeonCharge app instead of having to juggle between multiple different network apps. Then we will have a second guest, which will be Magdalena from Harbor Keepers. She's going to talk about being an activist who decided to improve air quality in her community. And we'll discuss how can we help to advance the efforts. And then we'll go to tips and tricks on buying used EVs. So imagine that you lost your car unexpectedly and you need to find a used EV quickly. And these days we have disturbed car market because of chip shortage and soaring gas prices. So we just went through this experience. I want to share it with you. So I would like to stop sharing. Okay, here. Lynn, would you like to share your screen? I mean, yeah.
Yes. Can everyone see my screen perfectly?
I can see it.
Perfect. So I guess I'll just jump right into it. I'll keep it short, but thank you, Stan. So before I start, I want to say that this is neither marketing nor advertisement. Stan has provided countless supports, advice to our alliance months ago before we even have our mobile app ready. So this presentation today is a way for us to give back to Stan and the Central Jersey EAA chapter for all he has done. And so thank you, Stan. So I'm Lin from AeonCharge Alliance. A little bit about us. AeonCharge is founded and funded by EV drivers and EV organization leaders across the United States. And so our goal is simple, is to make EV charging more convenient. We made a universal mobile app that allows EV drivers to be able to locate, activate, and pay for EV charging across providers. And so instead of having to juggle through multiple different apps, you can now charge your EV at any charger with just AeonCharge app. And as an alliance, we don't care about profit, which is why we don't charge any extra cost for drivers to use AeonCharge. So far we have integrated almost 60% of all chargers in the United States, and we will be integrating more in the next few months, and we are confident to integrate most of the chargers in 6 to 12 months time. But for now, you can charge at the majority of chargers in the United States. You'll be able to activate them and pay for them, and so you don't need to use any other apps anymore. We launched our private beta around, I think, a few months ago, and we have more than 7,000 waitlisted users. We're backed by 17 states of EV organizations, and it's also an official partner with EVA, which is Electric Auto Association. The access to our mobile app is currently by invitation only because we are limiting our users to a few hundreds to 1,000 to ensure the best experience. But as a way to give back, our team wants to prioritize Central Jersey EAA members as our beta users. So if you're someone who lives in MUD, someone who in public really often, or if you're someone who always charge at home but wants a one app as a backup in case you ever go and need to charge in public, AeonCharge is for you. So feel free to sign up. This form will only take less than 2 minutes. It will ask a few questions about you and how you charge in public. Make sure that you put Central Jersey EAA in the last question of the form. I'll send a link in the chat so that you guys can easily click the link. You can also scan the QR code if you're interested. But that's all I have for today. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions or comments or even suggestions.
Thank you, Lin. Thank you. So which networks are good for this program?
Yeah, so because of our contract agreement with the charging networks and more to come, we are not allowed to disclose like the specific partner's name until down the line. But if you sign up the wait list when you download the app, you'll be able to actually see. But what I can say is that most of the charging that people do are all covered in our app. So
Okay,
more than likely.
So essentially, once we register, we'll be able to see which charges are available, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, cool. This is critical.
I just shared the link on the chat in case people want to sign up right away.
Very good, very good. And I'm going to include that link into my deck.
Sounds good. That would be perfect.
So that was fast. I was thinking, do we have any question?
So what is your revenue model? I mean, I know you're kind of, so in other words, you just cover your expenses with your revenue? Is that the way it works, or?
Yeah, so as an alliance, we don't want to burden the cost on the drivers. And so the drivers will never pay extra amount of money for anything. We do have a few revenue stream that one is from partnership with these charging networks. We do have like some arrangements that we do with specific partners, and we take a cut from some of the transaction. And on the other hand is advertisement. Hopefully, as we go on, when we have more customer base to our platform, we can help local businesses to drive traffic to them as well.
So does your app have advertisements?
Not at the moment, but maybe like in a year or 2 years time, once like AeonCharge, people are start using AeonCharge and we're ready to scale up to be like 1,000 or 10,000 users, then maybe. But for now, we focused on making the charging convenience for the drivers specifically.
Excellent, excellent.
So Lin, question for you. So
Yeah.
as an example, this past September, I took a trip up to New Hampshire for an EV only track day. So this was a 235-mile ride, the first long distance travel with our newest EV. And so along the way, I used probably 3 different networks. So one app would certainly be really convenient. So certainly applaud you on your efforts in developing this product. One question though, so right now, for that particular journey, I did have to contact Electrify America on 2 separate occasions. So what would be the process for the EV driver in that case to get support? Would they go through AeonCharge, or they would still have to go directly to that network?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Thank you, Scott. So for now, is that we have our own support that will help you, like the drivers that is traveling. I I wouldn't say that we're streamlined the process yet, but we are negotiating with discharging networks in terms of how can we help them, their support with our support. So instead of people having to call, 3 different supports for 3 different networks, they can just call AeonCharge directly and we can just help everything. But as for now, you can either call them directly or call us and then we'll call them. That would be kind of the manual process that how we do it. If you don't mind me asking, what was it a technical issue that you had to call the support, or was it just activation issue with the charger?
It actually was. It started with activation, and then later on it turned into technical.
Oh.
And then what was great, and just good customer service from Electrify America, is that they issued a credit for a charging session, and then there was a technical issue with the, shall we say, the free charging session. So in that scenario, I was able to get directly to their customer support team, and they were able to advocate for me within their stack. So it'd be interesting to see how the AeonCharge support team would interface with them.
Yeah. So I would say from our past experience so far is that we have a driver who did a road trip from the Midwest to the West Coast, and the way we kind of support them is that we kind of refer them. So they're usually like 4 chargers in Electrify America chargers, and is that we redirect them to the second charger, third charger, and fourth charger. We haven't had any encounter with when all 4 chargers are down or broken. But yes, as we go on, I think we will build more use cases to make sure that we can support them as well. I think that's a really good point. Thank you so much, Scott.
So
Sure.
I just have one question. I
Yeah,
don't know
go
if
ahead,
you're
Ed.
done, Scott, or not, so I don't want to cut you off.
No, go for it.
Okay, so is this going to be similar? Because like right now I use PlugShare a lot. So is it going to be like the similar type of, something similar to that type of app?
Yeah, so the biggest difference with PlugShare is that on PlugShare, you can see the charger, but at the end you have to download each of the respective apps, or you need to have the NFC card to be able
Right.
to activate and pay. With AeonCharge, you can also activate and pay through the app. So everything is seamless in one app. That's the biggest difference.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, Ed.
Yeah, Lin, so does it also mean that your app doesn't come with the map, or it comes with map?
It comes with the map.
Okay, so you would use it as PlugShare.
It would be really similar to PlugShare, but we have an activate button where like you can click it and then you can just plug it into your car.
I see. Okay.
And I think a lot of the drivers that we have are used to use PlugShare, and a lot of their comments is that PlugShare are a lot of information and it's really complex for new drivers. And so when they start using our app, it's really simple, where we simplified most of the information and you just click one button to start charging. So we try to keep improving our user experience as we go on. So it's never perfect. So if you guys have suggestions or comments, like, we'd be more than happy to hear them.
I like your sentiment. It's never perfect, because absolutely there is always room for improvement. But just the fact that you are working on it, it's a big thing. So kudos.
Thank you.
How many networks are now?
Yes, so we have 4, but we are integrating more in the next few months, and we're aiming for 20 by end of next year. We have.
And what does that equate? What does that equate to as far as amount of chargers?
We have around almost 60% of all chargers in the United States right now.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
That's very good.
And let me ask you another question.
Mhm.
If I have an existing account or I do home charging, is there a way to integrate my home charging activity onto the AeonCharge activity, or just is just for public? So in other words, if I have a charging network that uses home charging, and Aeon doesn't have the capability, I still have to use two apps.
Yes, unfortunately, right now we're focusing on public charging. But as actually we do have plans, but it would be in a year or 2 years time that will integrate home charging. So yeah, I'm sorry to say that, but hopefully we can integrate that part as soon as we can.
Okay, so if we have no more questions, I think we can go to Magdalena. I recall that, oh, here, okay. Let me give you co-host. Hi,
Sure.
Magdalena.
Yes, how are you? I'm sorry, I'm just getting home. I had to find a parking spot and I'm just setting up my computer. And I also didn't know I was going to present. I thought I was just kind of joining the meeting.
No, that's, yeah. We didn't discuss it too in detail, but yeah, go ahead. If are you ready to talk about what you do and why you do it?
I can just do a brief introduction of myself and what I do. And like I said, I just got home. So let me just check 1 second if I can at least put my video on. Okay, I just got home and hold on 1 second. All right. Okay, so in the least I can, hi everyone, nice to meet you. Thank you for allowing me to, come to the space. I know, this is obviously a different state and I'm in Boston, but, really grateful that you guys are making the space for me to talk about what we do here in Boston. And my name's Magdalena and I grew up in New Jersey. I don't know if Lucas is on this call, but he's my brother, and moved to Boston about 15 years ago. Around 2016, I founded an organization myself. It's called the Harbor Keepers. So I'm the founder and executive director, and it's a small grassroots organization based in Boston in a neighborhood called East Boston. I don't know how much you guys know about Boston, but we're a very coastal city. Most of it is actually built on filled land. We have the airport that takes up 2/3 of the East Boston neighborhood, and it's an environmental justice community, and it's just a lot of impact. So when we decided to set up this organization, it was really to address really coastal resiliency. So trying to figure out how to find some solutions sort of down on the ground in the trenches to try and advance the resiliency issue. And some of that involves sort of forward-thinking concepts like renewable energy is something that we obviously advocate for and want to make sure is that the narrative, on renewable energy is not just being led by, people in a different wavelength, that it really has to come down to the masses, and we have to make this a reality in terms of, the advocacy has to be homegrown, if you will. So, and I think that the issue that you guys are tackling with the electric vehicles is probably a perfect example of how do we maximize the consensus, right? So that more people buy into this incredible technology that we have, renewable energy, that if we can get more people on board, then we can advance policy and make more investment and so forth and so on. So the Harbor Keepers really deals with issues of coastal resiliency. So for example, doing coastal education in East Boston and some surrounding communities, how to engage on coastal resiliency advocacy with Boston. I don't know if you guys know, we have a new mayor as of today, actually. The first woman mayor, Chinese American woman, was sworn into history of Boston, never before. So it's huge. And she's a big climate justice advocate. Just so you guys know, we have a big climate justice advocate in Boston. So hopefully she'll advance the electric vehicle conversation forward. But in any event, the Harbor Keepers is, coastal resiliency building organization. We work really deeply with the community and also try to align with city and state planning so that we can advance the resiliency issue here locally. I have a personal interest in renewable energy and have been learning a lot about offshore wind. As you know, Massachusetts is, it's just happening. Offshore wind is just happening. You have all these companies leasing an incredible amount of
That's
ocean
great.
land.
That's great. Yeah, it's
and,
coming to New Jersey now. So yeah.
Yeah, it is, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
I heard. So anyway, I can go more into what we do, but I don't want to take up your time. We have a website. I can send you the link, and then you guys can sort of check and see what kinds of things we do. Mostly focus on the waterfront and the shoreline, and Boston as a coastal city, and how to protect it from climate impacts. Things like green infrastructure, workforce training, and so forth. So, but it's a much longer story. I just wasn't prepared to present today. I could in the future. So
That's
thank you.
okay. That's okay. And but thank you. And we have actually people on our call who are very aggressive environmental advocates, and from different angles, including stormwater management, including rivers, energy, renewable energy, and obviously we are all EV people. But yeah, and so one thing that I wanted to point out, as you are talking about the environmental justice communities, New Jersey has a very strong program for implementation of electric school buses. It is coming slowly, but it's coming, and it's program that is sponsored by the state. The state has implemented master plan, which is implying that by 2050 there will be 80% of all energy will be renewable.
Wow.
Yeah, so
that's an aggressive target. Yeah, that's good.
They want to have electric transit buses, medium and light and heavy duty, eventually trucks to be replaced, and starting with the burdened communities. We have locations such as Camden and Newark that are disproportionately impacted. So these regions are targeted first to get electrification, because people drive less, but they use more public transportation. And also because of the businesses, they inherently impact the quality of air because of trucks, dump trucks, even garbage trucks, right? So this is something that I would certainly advocate if you have opportunity to reach out to someone who can make those decisions up in Boston.
Yeah, absolutely. And just that I forgot to mention, of course, air quality in East Boston. As I said, Logan Airport takes up 2/3 of our land, and the expansion of the airport, which, by the way, I'm plugging in a film that Lucas and I did together, a documentary film called Destination East Boston, which is exactly about that. The impacts of the expansion of Logan Airport in a 50-year span, because this started in the 1960s and up until today, it's still expanding incredibly. And the particulate matter, we have high rates of COPD and asthma in East Boston. So the air quality issue is a huge one, because we're obviously, we live in an area where the airport is right next door. So I can, in the future, I can definitely share, and we can borrow from each other in terms of the advocacy strategies or the networks and connections that we can make between, Massachusetts.
And local network actually is something that is very powerful. I'm a member of the Environmental Commission in my township. I'm working with stormwater, actually with Lower Raritan Watershed Partnership, which is an organization that is focusing on cleaning up rivers. So yeah, I'm plugged in everywhere, So one thing, yes, just for other people, the context, the connection was created by your brother Lucas, and Lucas, he's a, how should I say, documentary filmmaker, maybe.
I don't know if he's on the call right now, but he's
not.
film editor, producer, director, you know, the storyboard, he's a storyboard artist.
Right.
He's an artist,
And
incredible
he
artist.
interviewed a few of our members, and he's working on a video to promote electric vehicles, and most of our members, well, a lot of our members will be on that video. So it is.
Yeah, that's great. You told me about it. I'm looking forward to seeing the video.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's been recorded. He recorded it a few months ago, so I was like, hey, where it is. I'm keen. I am very aggressively expecting that.
Of course, film is a powerful tool
Mhm.
that we need to use as we advocate together. So, you know, obviously it can tap
Yeah.
into Lucas's talents, but thank you again. It's a pleasure. And I look forward to listening, you know, in these meetings.
Okay. So thank you for coming here and telling us your story. Anyone else wants to add? Because if not, so I'll thank you very much. And
Thank you.
let me turn off and let's go to the next agenda item. Do you see my screen? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I would like to welcome new members. Actually, so I was supposed to do that first, but anyway, we have Paul Weinrib from Teaneck, New Jersey. We have Ken Arntzen from Denville, New Jersey, and I think you are on this call. Am I right, Kenneth?
I am, yes.
Thank you so much. Welcome. We have James Irby from Manasquan, and we have Scott Cohen from Park Ridge. And you are on the call, right? You already had a question.
Yes.
So thank you everyone who joined over the last month. Please spread the word. Membership fee and donations are fully tax deductible. And if you have friends, colleagues, even enemies, tell them to join following this link. Now, last time we were talking about having a plan to change the batteries from one Nissan Leaf to another one. So on this picture, you can see that we actually successfully completed the project in one day. So this salvaged Nissan Leaf, it's a 2015 model, and this is the battery that we have taken. What you see on top is a trolley and bag, so you can ignore that. But this is the battery, 84% health. And this is the 2012 Nissan Leaf, and this is its old battery. And it's kind of toast because it has only 43% health, state of health. This battery was almost subject to warranty recall, but it hasn't been degraded enough after, Alex, what was the threshold? After how many years?
I don't remember, Stan, but I know that I missed that by at least a bar of range, which was really frustrating. So
yeah. But now there were three of us, Alex, myself, and Bill. Oh, actually, number 4 person was Dexter Tan. He was remote. He gave us a pairing tool, and Priscilla Brown. She is credited for arranging for lunch. Alex, give us more details.
right. So I mean, yeah, it took us all day. Bill was really great because he has like actual mechanic kind of experience, you know, so he was the guy who really knew what he was doing. But it wasn't that difficult mechanically. I mean, it's mostly we're just taking off the shields, taking off the bolts that hold the battery, and then we had a couple of motorcycle jacks underneath the battery and to lower it down. The logistics were really kind of tricky because, you know, we had to get, first of all, I had to empty my garage, which was a whole weekend. It only took us a day to do this, but it took me like a weekend to empty my garage so that we could do it. and put everything somewhere else, right? So I still have the salvage vehicle in there too. I have to figure out how to get rid of that because it's not rolling right now. It's in, it won't go in neutral. But so I think it went pretty well overall. We had a little scare where we were using this jack that probably wasn't rated, it wasn't beefy enough and it kind of broke. But all in all, after we got the battery swapped, we turned on the car and it recognized the battery and the range. We did have to use the battery programming tool though because otherwise it wasn't operating at full power, obviously, and it had an error code on the dash. After we used the battery pairing tool, all of the range of the battery became available and all the power became available in the vehicle. However, we're not done yet.
Alex, but before
Yeah.
you go to the next sentence, I want to make a comment that I think the vehicle had power from the beginning. But when we had the victory ride, there were 3 of us in the car.
No, it
And
wasn't.
I am heavy. I am.
No, it was definitely because I took a number of trips with it, and it would not go above 25 miles per hour. The car was
I
limited
thought
to 25.
we were going more than 25, no?
Maybe 30, but I think it was just 25. It's just we were all residential streets, so it's.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The speed limit there is honestly 25. So
Yeah.
So anyway, so the battery pairing tool worked, but we have high voltage DTC codes in the CAN bus. Leaf Spy is an app that is very helpful for figuring that sort of thing out. But so I'm still working on that. Probably a loose connection somewhere. Dex is cross shipping a replacement cable, so we're going to see if it's the cable. And if it isn't that, then I'm not sure. But I mean, the car rides, so occasionally it won't go into drive. That's the biggest problem with the air codes, is that occasionally it's a problem. But I'm happy so far. So we'll let you know how it turns out.
Yeah, and I think based on my knowledge, it's probably the first do-it-yourself Leaf swap in New Jersey. No, Leaf battery swap in New Jersey
that we know about.
Yeah,
and I'd like to point out that this was really a job of necessity. I did not want to do this myself. None of the dealers really are giving reasonable options to me. They don't want to have anything to do with it. None of the auto shops around here, I called several shops, sent them the YouTube videos. None of them wanted to take on the work. And none of them wanted to let me use their garage. I would have rented a garage and a lift and everything if I could have, but they didn't want to do that either because of liability concerns. So we did it ourselves.
Yeah, and I think this is amazing because it raises our confidence and also confidence of the whole community. That if we can replace one battery, maybe we can replace another battery. Obviously we cannot put Tesla battery into Leaf, but
So Alex, if you need a trailer to haul it someplace, just let me know.
Okay, I might take you up on that. What, do you mean the salvage vehicle or do you mean the battery?
Well, whatever. Well, either or. I mean,
Okay.
We could figure out a way to haul whatever you need to haul to wherever you need to haul it. Maybe it's just a bunch of tire dollies to we could do this offline if you want. You can shoot me your info.
Sure.
But yeah, we can noodle something out. And Stan, with regard to like Tesla batteries, going into interesting places. Just this past weekend, I was at the Holley High Voltage event in Sonoma, California, and it was just I actually did a lap on an autocross track in a converted Toyota 4Runner Baja race vehicle that had a Nissan Leaf motor in it. And I think the batteries, I don't think they were Leaf batteries that the guy used. He used something else, and it was pretty much a Franken car, but it worked, and he actually was. He had the power going through the 3 different differentials in the stock vehicle, because it was originally designed as a rock crawler, but it was a hoot going around the track.
Interesting.
Yeah. So there's some movement out there with regard to the aftermarket supporting EV conversion, the EV conversion market. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, and we have conversion experts actually in our group, in our chapter. And actually, one of the next slides, I'm thinking whether it's the next one. Yeah, it's the electric vehicle conversion. But before I go there, do we have any other conversation regarding this project? Yeah, I think we are done. We are very happy with that. Alex just needs to fix the DTC error, but hopefully this is going to be okay. But really, the range is kind of doubled, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
A very basic question. What was the education technical background of the folks who were involved in this project? What was the difficulty level? And I know you mentioned about the tools you use.
Well, what we share all in common is the love for EV. But so myself, my education is, I have PhD from organic chemistry, and I didn't use any of that. But I'm a kind of do-it-yourself tinkerer, if you will. I do some little projects around the house or with the car. I never touched the main traction battery though. And as Alex mentioned, Bill, he is playing a little bit with those cars, right, Alex?
I don't even know that his experience is EV related. It's just that he's clearly experienced at getting a car up on jacks and, has all the tools. He changes his own oil and has done a number of different things with cars.
I mean, changing oil is a piece of cake,
Yeah. But I mean, he's clearly experienced, and he's an HVAC guy. I mean, he's mechanically inclined, and his job involves a lot of that sort of
what
thing.
I want to say from my viewpoint, so I have lots of tools, but the tool that I don't have, and that was, I think, critical, was the impact battery powered
driver.
Yeah. The impact made the whole difference because some of the screws were kind of rusted in, particularly the 2012 model. The screws were more difficult to take out. And having the trolleys was very important because we could lower the battery from jack to the trolley and move it around. The logistics that Alex was talking about. So he provided some tools that I don't think are too expensive, but are so critical.
Yeah, but the mechanically, the sort of things that were challenging would be, if, for example, a bolt wasn't coming out and you had to know how to get out a difficult bolt, right? In fact, I believe that we put the car back together missing at least one of the bolts that's supposed to be holding the battery. Because
right, in the back, there are two brackets in the back, but each vehicle had the different bracket. So we needed to take off the bracket from one vehicle and put it into the other. And to remove one of the brackets, I think it was from the 2012 model, we just could not. And having the original bracket for the new battery, we could not bolt the battery. So it just one of the brackets stayed in, and it was dump bracket because it was not holding the battery.
Yeah. So I guess the key things for me about going forward with the project that we had on our team, one was somebody who was experienced with getting cars up and working under them and dealing with things like rusty bolts and, just a basic, mechanical knowledge, good knowledge of tools. The second one was we had somebody on call who had specifically worked on Leafs, and does that for kind of a living. Dexter in Texas, he swaps out Leaf batteries all the time. So he knew exactly what the challenges were that we were going to face. And if there were any issues that came up, he knew, how to approach problem solving them, that sort of thing. And then, and then the third thing was getting the car, the replacement vehicle and all that stuff. So, and having a place to do it.
Well, but one thing that Alex, you are maybe discounting is that you made quite of a research, right?
Right.
Because you had to find the guy in Texas. You had to find that you need a programming tool and that you need extra cable, that you need to connect the new battery with the old vehicle, right?
Mhm.
So this is something that is custom for every vehicle that you need to do the research. So, but if whoever has now in plan to replace the Nissan Leaf battery, we do have that experience now. Okay, did we answer your question, RM?
Yes, thank you.
Cool. Do we have any other questions? If not, thank you, Alex, and let's move on. We have announcement that our friends Ron Grossinger and Matt Foley, they will have electric vehicle conversion 101. It will be this coming Saturday, November 20th. It will be in Neptune City in New Jersey. And what is interesting that it is actually the Sunlight Conversion headquarters. So Sunlight Conversion is the company that Matt Foley has. He had presentation about a year ago that he converted both to electric. So this is in his house. It is off-grid solar-powered garage. And the adjacent house itself is a net positive. It's a 100-year-old beach bungalow. And it was completely electrified and runs on a grid-connected rooftop solar array. So for more information and to register, hit the link. So it will be in 5 parts: meters and circuits, making electric vehicles, then full-size vehicle, your own build, and other vehicle applications. So if you're interested in anything related to electric vehicle conversions, and not just vehicle as a 4-wheel vehicle, but anything that moves, perhaps even planes, then I certainly recommend that 101 training. Okay, now comes the stuff that is also related to the Nissan Leaf, because the blue one was mine. And so I want to share with you the story, what it took to replace that vehicle. And I would not want to replace it because I like what I have, right? From sustainability viewpoint, you don't want to buy new stuff just because something better is out there. I know that this is the mentality that we as a society embrace today, but really, my vehicle almost made it to 7 years. I got it in December 2014. And I didn't put too many miles until the last half a year because I changed job and my commute increased from 11 miles to 74 miles. And so that vehicle at point of impact had 84% of state of health. So when it was new, it had 100%, now it was 84%. And even though it was rated 84 miles by EPA, with my driving style, I was still able to make in summer up to 95 miles. And in winter, I would be expecting about 75 without heating, right? So my goal was to match it. However, as you know, we are facing kind kind of aftermath of pandemic. Not that we are out of the pandemic, but I think we are adjusting to it. And so what we are seeing is that the used car prices are up nearly 40%. And the gray curve shows overall inflation, which since March 20, which was the beginning of the lockdown, which represents like 5 to 6%, let's say, okay, in a year and a half. The new car prices, they are up by maybe 9%. Most of the hike happened this year, this summer. Home prices, they went up, right? Perhaps because people are moving from the big cities that are more crowded into suburbs. But really, what is happening that because car makers, as they experienced less demand, they canceled parts order. And some of the parts were chips. And so the chip makers, they said, okay, you don't want to buy my chips, and somebody else wants to have, respirators and those breathing devices. We're going to switch. And so those companies that were making automotive chips, they're not making them anymore. So they have to be built again, or maybe the same investors who switched, they have the ability, I guess they should. But the result is that we don't have too many chips for new cars. So people resort to used cars, right? So this is another chart. This is car production. Okay, so from 2017, and wait a second, I need to move this. The car production remains well below pre-pandemic levels. So these are production numbers monthly, okay, since 2017. And with some error bars, they are going down. And here, I guess this is the March, it was zero. They just stopped, and then they slowly started ramping up, but then back down. So we really don't have too many new vehicles, and there is a natural replacement, like what just happened, if your vehicle is totaled, then you have to replace it. So so that's what is happening. And this is just a screenshot of some article in I think it's New York Times. No, it's the Washington Post. How crazy is the used car market, right? So there was some auction, bidding war over a 2-year-old minivan and stuff. So this is all cars, but how about electric cars only? So I got this article in Inside EVs, and so it was released maybe in October or September. And so what they show that even though regular cars or overall cars, they started to decline the prices in August and September, electric cars continued to climb up. And so you may think, so what's the difference? Why would electric cars continue to rise? Well, there is another impact, which is the gas prices that are soaring. And on this chart, I actually added another piece of information. So yeah, so here you see the COVID lockdown, right? And the gas prices tanked. The blue is USA average, the red is just New Jersey. And here I overlaid the Charge Up New Jersey rebate, the first phase, which lasted, 30 million was allocated. It lasted almost a year. Then the prices went up, and when they launched the second phase, it ran out in 2.5 months. So it's, and you see that it could be attributed partially to higher gas prices, right? Here we had about $2, and here we have over $3. So what we can conclude that actually gas, more expensive gas is the stimulus for electric vehicles. So And there are some unintended consequences of this whole pandemic. So we have higher gas prices. We have chip shortage. The new car inventory goes down, used car inventory goes down, which means that new vehicle prices go up and used vehicle prices go up. What is also interesting, that the valuation of totaled vehicles go up, right? If you total your vehicle, they have to give you the value that is current, not whatever it was before pandemic or 6 months ago. No, it has to be today. So if the insurance company has to pay more for the losses, they have to eventually increase the premium. I am not seeing it yet, but I think it's coming. Just like the inflation is now very famous and people are talking about it more and more. What is coming up is the insurance increase. And I think it will be problems with the equity in the society and the social justice. So we'll see. So how to find a used electric vehicle deal? So today, if you don't have to, well, don't buy. Just don't buy. But if you have to, then start online. So I had very good experience with AutoTrader and Cars.com, but in this order, really AutoTrader, because it includes private party. And then you also want to leverage network, your own network, Facebook groups, and including our group, because actually what was the decision maker in this case was my networking within Electric Auto Association. So when you buy and you want to visit the dealer, you want to see the vehicle, you want to know more than the dealer, and chances are you already know more because dealers do have notoriousally problems with that. They don't understand that if the vehicle, specifically Nissans, they show capacity bars. Healthy Nissan has 12 bars. When you start the vehicle and you see it immediately, you know, if you have 11 bars, 10 bars, but if you have even less, then just the vehicle doesn't have the value. Forget that it has 20,000 miles, 30,000 miles. You know, some people would say, oh, I only charge it at level 1, which is the best for the vehicle. But it was 2017 Nissan Leaf and it had 10 bars, which means it lost 2 bars in 4 years. So, I mean, these people can say whatever they want, but if you have lost 2 bars, then I'm sorry, just your vehicle doesn't have the value. Specifically for Nissan Leaf, you want to use Leaf Spy and OBD Bluetooth adapter. Every brand has a different method. So you want to go to the Facebook group for the specific brand and search it up, and or actually even other online portals. It doesn't have to be Facebook. Or forums. So you want to find out what is the battery health. Now let me go through a few entries. Some of them I found yesterday because I wanted to populate the deck, but some of them I bookmark or had a copy in my email box, so I wanted to show. So for example, the first one, 2014 Ford Focus. This vehicle, I don't have the range here, but I think it was like 84 miles when it was new, or maybe wasn't it 76? Anyway, it's somewhere in that range. It doesn't have too many miles, 48,000, but you know, it is 7 years old vehicle, or maybe 8, and they're asking for 10,000, and it was on October 13th, and then it's no longer listed, which means that it must have sold. The next one is 2013. It has a lot of miles, but it's still 8,000, which is a lot. You know, a year ago, they would have a hard time to sell it for 6 or maybe 6.5. The third one is the vehicle that I wanted to see, the Fiat 2016. and it was sold on the next day. So I was out of luck. I don't even remember what was the mileage. I think it was low mileage, between 20 and 25,000 miles. Oh yes, and I found online that the vehicle was also sold 2 years ago for 9,500. So 2 years later, and it appreciated by almost $2,000, which never happens. Vehicle is only depreciative asset, even for Tesla. I actually don't have any example of Tesla because there are no affordable used Teslas. This one, used 2016 Nissan Leaf. I've seen it before and I still see it. They call it a good deal, but you know, it's $12,000 for, you know, perhaps the price was higher back then, but I don't, it's Connecticut, I couldn't go that far. This one, current listing. What is interesting that they call it 2012 Nissan Leaf, but when you look into the pictures, it's clearly 2015 model and it has 12 bars. So it has apparently very good battery. What I'm not sure is what is right, the pictures or the listing, right? But still 13,000, that's a lot of money. And then Carvana. Carvana is disaster. They are the most expensive. They have a bunch of Leafs, 2015, 2016. They are for $16,000. I mean, come on, when I bought that 2015 Leaf after incentives, I paid 19,000. That was almost 7 years ago. So this is crazy. And these are the 3 vehicles that I have seen. They were all 2017 Nissan Leafs. The first one was with CHAdeMO. It was in Mount Holly, and it was A-OK, you know, 81% state of health, 13,000. The second one was a little bit south. It did not have CHAdeMO. It had protection package, which I was like, you know, I don't need protection package. What do I need to protect? But even though it did not have the fast charging port, the battery had only 72%. So, you know, I wasn't too much excited about that vehicle. And also the charger was 3.3 kilowatts because the base model would have slower charger. The last one was a private party. And this guy, he was the one who claimed that he charges his battery only in level 1 and that it's the best for the battery. But even in the listings, he showed the dash of the vehicle clearly showing that it has lost 2 bars. So 74% state of health. There was a chip on the windshield, and he replaced tires because he ran over some pothole. But he replaced all rims, and it did not have the tire pressure monitoring system. So there was an error on the dash, and he said, "I'm fine with that." I was like, "Well, you are fine, but I'm not fine with that." And even though it's private party, he was asking more than the dealer. So those vehicles, the range is between 77 to 87 miles. It's the equivalent of the EPA range. So I would have probably enough, but I ask myself, so are there other brands, right? And here comes the thing. This Chevy Spark, it was not listed back then in October, but this is pretty much what you get today. So these vehicles are fairly old. They have short range, and you know, 11,000. It's not. It's a little bit less, but you really don't get the range. Those vehicles will have quite degraded the battery. But what is very interesting are the bolts, because the bolts do not get the appreciation today because people fear them because they are under recall for possible battery fires. So, you know, this vehicle, which is listed just next to the Spark, it's 3 years newer. It has what, 3 times longer range, but it doesn't cost even double. It costs maybe 75% extra. And in a few months, you get new battery. So it doesn't matter what is this battery health of this vehicle. It's just you will get new battery. This one is another example that was listed back then, but it's no longer listed. It was available somewhere in North New York State. It doesn't have a rapid charging port, but what I found interesting that it was just kind of abandoned. It had only 15% state of charge, and the owner probably was afraid to charge it because it could catch fire after charging. 16,000. That's a very good deal. I was quite seriously contemplating it. But in the end, I got something else. And again, this is because I was privileged to be connected to Electric Auto Association, not just because I'm leading the chapter, but because everyone has the access to these resources. And so I was just lucky that one of the people that I was talking to just bought recently a Volkswagen ID4, Eric Weiss. And so I struck a deal with him and I got his 2017 Chevy Bolt EV Premier. Lots of miles, 67,000 miles. I can tell that the battery certainly has lower capacity than our family Bolt. My wife, she drives also 2017 Chevy Bolt. But hey, you know, in a few months, I'll get new battery. So I also got an extra set of winter tires and complete service records because the vehicle was very well maintained and garaged. So I'm very happy. And any questions regarding this story? Sorry, it took a while.
No questions, but thanks for doing it, Stan.
Well, I thought it's a mandatory to share the experience because, you know, as EV advocates, I know that we very often resort to buying new vehicles because there are no used electric cars on the market when we are the pioneers. Some of us resort to leasing, some purchase new, but I have been driving electric since 2012. And I was like, you know what? I don't need new car. I'm pretty comfortable. I was driving used car essentially, even though I bought it new, but you know, it was even technologically old when you think about it. Because today you don't buy battery electric vehicle with 84 miles. This is all history. So I was very much tempted to buy new electric car. I could buy Tesla, except for that right now I could not, because even if I want to shell the money, the delivery times are just horrendous. I need a vehicle like now. Oh, and one thing I want to also thank Alex Brown, because during the time when I did not have the car, he actually lent me his Nissan Leaf. And so I was able to actually avoid renting a gasoline car that would be normally reimbursed by the insurance company. But I preferred to accept this offer from Alex because I just wanted to drive electric. So yeah. I see there is some text in the chat. Oh, what did I do with the Leaf? Okay, so so this this is recorded. So I'll tell you offline. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, if not, we are almost at the end. Let me just tell you that events. Do we have any events? Oh yeah, we don't have events. Yeah. So yeah, because it's not the season. We have already something lined up for April 2022. I have been asked by my peer from Environmental Commission to do something in January. I'm not sure. We typically don't do stuff in January. It would be in Franklin Township, Somerset County. But yes, one thing, last year we had a Christmas light show drive-through. I think we can do it again. It was in PNC Bank in Holmdel. Dave, am I right? I know that you are from that area, Dave Dragonetti.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think just the important thing to point out is to avoid the weekends. I think we learned that over the past couple of years that the weekends are very, very busy.
Yeah, yeah, and I remember we were there. I think it was not exactly weekend. Alex, do you remember? Was it Friday or was it Thursday? Anyway, there was a line. There was a line. Just to get there, you had to be very patient and sit in the line. But it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It would be even better if they powered the lights in different way, not just the gas generators. That was the downer, so to speak. But even with that, it was a beautiful experience. So I'm planning to have another meeting on December 8th so that we can discuss the details. Now, I wanted to discuss something with Ken, but he said that he has to leave at 7, so I suppose that he's not here. Ken Jones. Scott, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Yes. I think what Ken was talking about, that maybe now finally could be time to open the North Jersey chapter. Did he discuss it with you?
Yeah, we had an initial discussion and certainly would be interested in exploring that.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Everyone who is North would be automatically transferred from Central Jersey chapter to North Jersey chapter. That's given. And you guys have lots of flags already. I think 3 flags or 4 anyway. And you guys know what to do. You guys are the experts. I mean, the last NDU National Drive Electric Week in Upper Saddle River was fantastic. You guys were really pro. I was so impressed. So, any ideas, any discussion?
Anybody have any event ideas for the winter here?
Yes.
Like in terms of, evangelism, kind of EV evangelism opportunities or anything like that?
Yeah, like virtual webinars,
Hey, Stan,
Yes, Leanne.
it's Leanne. I'd be happy to talk to you about that. Nothing is coming into my mind, but what are we talking generally? You know, we talking specifically for December or anytime over the next 3-4 months?
Yeah, anytime this winter. We just don't have a lot of activity, you know.
Okay.
So I mean, we've done a lot of things in the past, even if it's like a local senior citizens group or something that just does regular presentations and that sort of thing. Where, you know, I don't know, anything like that, you know, where it's just a meeting. Maybe it's like a local green, like the community green organization, you know, something like that, you know, just coming there and doing a presentation for that group.
Yes, yes. And there are also activities, there are more social activities for EV drivers to hang together. This is more dominated by the Delaware Valley Tesla Owners Club. They do have meetings. I don't have any slides today, but once in a while they have like EV parades, parades, when they go together to visit some places. It's not something that I would organize, but whoever is interested, I would revert to this organization. Jason Kaplan, he is our connection to Delaware Valley Tesla Owners Club. I think their website is dvto.club. So great, Leanne. Let's take it offline. If you have any ideas, bring it to my attention. Yes, and April 28th, we have in-person show in Raritan Valley Community College with Susan Dorwart. Yeah. So this is kind of penciled in. We have plenty of time, of course. Okay. So if no other comments and ideas, I thank you everyone for attending this meeting. The next one is kind of penciled for Wednesday, December 8th. If I see that people have environmental commission meetings on Wednesdays, we can always change it. We used to have it every first Wednesday in a month, but we didn't have anything in August and September, and then October we started kind of late. So I'm trying to keep the schedule once a month. So I'm pushing the December meeting a little bit earlier than 1 month. It's kind of 3 weeks. I don't have any speaker yet. If you have any idea, please let me know. Shoot me an email. You know where to find me. Thank you very much. And I wish you a great night.
Thank you so much, Stan.
Thank you.